What day is it? Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod. I'm the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein, taking you till 6 p.m. Eastern Time, talking all things so we need to know about the world of props today. My hair is an absolute mess. Yes, we're going to talk about my hair today. Minus 250 for me to open the show about my hair. Mark Zinno going to join the show with us, giving out his best bets of the night. I'm really excited to get his thoughts, too, on the Knicks firing of Tom Thibodeau. I mean, who saw that coming? Knicks fans are super excited about it around here, but I was definitely a little caught off guard. I'm sure you guys in the chat have something to say, too. Really interested to see who the Knicks have in mind, because clearly it was always going to be Thibodeau getting fired. College baseball regionals wrapped up yesterday. It was a ton of fun to watch. I was up till 1 a.m. Eastern Time watching LSU and Little Rock. I was watching, what was the other game that was late last night? Southern Mississippi lost to Wright State. Anyway, I need to go back and look at this. It was so late last night, but I was really enjoying myself because college baseball was so much fun. USM lost Miami. Thank you. I knew. Wright State ended up going to the Supers, though. But yes, it was Miami that ended up beating them to go to their first Super since 2016. So that was pretty cool to watch. Those games started at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, which was a pain in my ass. But I watched games since 3 p.m. People were asking me if I was watching the MLB last night. And I was like, hell to the effing no. I am watching some college baseball. For all you college haters out there, by the way, I mean, this is crazy that the SEC sets a new record for most teams eliminated in the opening weekend of the NCAA baseball tournament. 9 of the 13 teams they sent to the postseason were sent packing. So for anyone that doesn't watch baseball, college baseball, for all you NIL haters, for all you people that think that college baseball, March Madness ruined things, college baseball does not care. But okay, the chat wants to talk about the Knicks. So yes, the Knicks fired their head coach, Tom Thibodeau, which was like the biggest news of the day. He led the Knicks to their first Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years, made the playoffs 4 of 5, led the Knicks to 50-plus wins seasons for the first time since 1990s. Well, here's the thing. My friend Hakeem Prophet, who comes on this show all the time, I was asking him what his thoughts were, and he said, well, if you keep doing the same things and you're not getting different results, then this is what's going to happen. It's true. Thibodeau he's a good coach. He led the Knicks to their most successful seasons in years, but they were doing the same things over and over again, playing starters for so many minutes and getting beat by teams that are not better than them. I mean, obviously it's hard for me to say the Pacers aren't better, but you lost to the Pacers last year. Yeah, you got hurt. You lose to the Pacers this year. On paper, the Knicks are more talented than the Pacers. You've got Karl-Anthony Towns, you've got Jalen Brunson. And then the Indiana Pacers just have a bunch of scrappy dudes. I don't consider Miles Turner a great defender, even though he was good in the postseason. I don't consider Pascal Siakam to be consistent. Tyrese Halliburton is great. But again, if you look on paper, the Knicks are the better team, and they lost. So for Tom Thibodeau to be fired, it makes sense. But now here's the question. Who's going to be the next Knicks head coach? Are they really waiting for Jay Wright to come over and coach his Villanova guys? Are they going to try to get someone like Malone, Spoelstra? I know that my guy, Coach James Young, was talking about some other like assistant coaches that could be in mind. Some of the other ones that Coach Young mentioned were Johnny Bryan and Taylor Jenkins. So we'll see with the Knicks. I wish we had some like odds or something. The Tibbs firing is surprising, but this is on brand for his tenure, just like when he coached the Bulls and the Wolves. I saw a really funny a really funny tweet that said Karl-Anthony Towns has now gotten Thibodeau fired twice. Pretty much, yeah. Brunson and Cat don't play defense. No, I mean, listen, fine, but they couldn't slow down the Pacers, and obviously that's the bottom line. And the Knicks have had a great defense the last couple of years. Just they can't dictate pace of play, and their perimeter defense sucks. Perimeter defense was horrible. Sean Michael says we need Coach on tomorrow. He's going to come on Thursday. We'll talk about the NBA Finals with him, and we'll get his thoughts on the Knicks firing of Thibodeau, even though it's a few days late. But again, craziness. And looking at the odds going into next year, for the NBA because I know that they did post NBA Finals odds for 2026. Well, I can't see it on FanDuel right now, but let me see if DraftKings has it. It's just, yeah, I don't see it yet. It's probably all the way in the back. I'd really have to search for this. But anyway, I'll look for the Knicks odds later on. They do have a great team, and they probably just need another piece, but the Knicks feel like they're in now win or like you have to win mode, and Thibodeau doesn't seem like the right fit. Listen, if they would have lost to the Celtics, he still would have been fired. Thibodeau loses in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Pacers, still fired. It's like what would have kept him his job? Going to the NBA Finals maybe? Or winning the NBA Finals? Like it just felt this was over from the start. And Tibbs is supposed to be a defensive coach. Exactly. Yeah, Jessica's going to see what she could find for the next coach to be hired as a New York Knicks head coach. So we'll see. But in Major League Baseball news, so we were speaking about college baseball, which again was super intense the past few days. My guy Sammy P tweeting out Jack Caglianone, Rookie of the Year odds on his day of debut. 12-1, 10-1, 8-1, 5-1. Caglianone coming out of Florida. He is literally skyrocketed through the minor league system. So just so you guys know how good he's been, he's 22 years old, 6th overall pick out of UF. He was batting .322 with 15 home runs, 56 ribbies in 50 games in the minors. So he's going to play the outfield. Kansas City has an MLB low 7 home runs from the outfield in 2025. So you can keep a lookout for that. And for anyone who's talking about the games played, just remember, we had this same argument about Paul Skeens. I think he came up in like the end of May, and he still ended up winning Rookie of the Year. So I know June is tough, but he's going to have a lot of at-bats if he stays up. So I don't think that, oh, wait, Jessica Brand has odds for the next coach. But anyway, these are your odds for Jack Caglianone, the most sought-out, exciting player that they were looking forward to for this coming season. And I forgot to send Mark a link. So now I have to send Mark Zinno a link. 1 second, please. I was wondering where he was. He's usually pretty on time. But I will send you a link now. I can't believe I did that. I have been, so everyone, you asked about Marley, and I'll just talk about why I'm all like fatumult today, which is like means all over the place in like Yiddish terms. But I got Marley a dog trainer today. Marley needed to learn to walk in Manhattan. Marley, my dog, in case you missed that I got a puppy, 4 months old, she cannot walk in Manhattan. You just see me. Everyone feels so bad for me in New York. I just keep pulling this poor 4-month-old along. She's so afraid of all the noise in New York City. And I am like everyone's like, do you need help? I'll help you. I feel so bad. Anyway, got her a dog trainer, and that's what I've been doing all afternoon. So I feel all over the place and a little sweaty. And Marley is sleeping. Lucky her. She woke me up at 5 a.m. Anyway, Knicks. Mike Malone even, Jay Wright plus 150, and Jeff Van Gundy is 6-1 to be the next coach. I don't like the Van Gundy move. Haven't we like already done this? Ugh. Malone, that would be pretty cool. Jay Wright, it's his guys, Villanova, but I don't know. It sounds interesting. And I know Shawn Michael said Knicks have Atkinson, the Cavs coach, at 4-1, second best odds. Let's bring on my good friend who also is a Knicks fan, but also a Braves fan. I get confused sometimes. I don't know. Oh, he's a Yankees fan. But he like covers the Braves all the time and always bets on them. And we're going to talk about that today. So here comes my good friend, Mark Zinno.
What's up, AE? How's that puppy life treating you?
I'm exhausted, so I'm really glad that you were able to come on and help me out. I have been up. I don't know how you had twin boys. How the hell did you have twin boys?
Well, at least both of them were up at the same time, so that's good.
They had the same sleep schedule as twins?
Yeah, they actually adjusted really well. Like, they were both, pretty close. And if one woke up, they never woke up with the other. They were always in the same room. So they got used to crying noise and it never bothered them. That's what they say to do with twins.
Honestly, I could even go through the whole no sleeping thing because Marley was pretty good. She slept till 5 a.m. this morning. That was pretty good for us. But I can't, she doesn't walk. She can't walk in Manhattan. It has been a nightmare to get this dog to walk. So I bring her outside and I'm like, come on. She doesn't come. But we got a dog trainer today. She was awesome. And that was my priority. This show is too, and I have good info. I just totally forget what I planned for on this show. So Mark Zinno is going to help me out, giving out some winners. But I do want to discuss the Knicks first. Mike Malone is the front runner right now to be the Knicks' new head coach. Jay Wright plus 150, Jeff Van Gundy 6-1, even Cavs coach Atkinson 4-1, second best odds on some spots. Thoughts?
I'm going to throw a name out there that people will shake their head at no at first, but you realize where the Knicks are and what this is all about. And I text you this same thing because I'm watching, as soon as this news breaks, I'm watching NBA live on ESPN or whatever it is, and just turning on the radio and hearing some other people react to it. And I'm like, it's apparent that none of these people reacted to this have ever lived in New York for any substantial period of time. They don't get why Tom Thibodeau is fired. You could say it's the wrong move, but you and I, being New Yorkers, understand this. Championship. All
my Knicks friends were like, finally.
Yeah, it's championship or bust. That's the only mentality. If you don't suck like the Giants and are in a constant, perpetual state of pitifulness like the Islanders, right? The expectation every year is you will be in the playoffs, you will compete for a championship, and you better damn win the thing or there's going to be hell to pay. That's the reality. Tom Thibodeau had 5 cracks at this thing to get to the NBA Finals to say, hey, I'm really, really, really close. He didn't get there. I don't know if it's the right move. And I said this. I was like, he might not be the problem, but I know he's not the solution. And that's always a really tough place to be when you have a player, a quarterback, or a coach.
2 years in a row and lose 2 years in a row, knowing that your team on paper is better.
More talented, yep.
Nonetheless, the Pacers always run at a fast pace. You couldn't figure out how to slow them down?
Nope. I mean, again, and I told you too, like, if they would have lost to Boston, he definitively would have been gone. It would have happened the next day. It wouldn't even have been close. Them getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. What do you think it would have
been? Going to the NBA Finals?
I think if he got to the finals, he would have saved his job for another year. Yes. I think that would have been, but again, it was like after you toppled Boston, you can't lose to this Pacers team again. 4 straight playoff series, you lose to the Pacers.
It also just proves that you beat the Celtics because they were hurt. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, they were not the best version of themselves. If Jason Tatum
doesn't get hurt, they probably lose.
If they came back from a 3-1 deficit and beat the Knicks, Thibodeau wouldn't have been allowed to leave MSG. Like, that would have been gone. Look, it's a tough spot.
Perimeter defense, especially down the stretch, was just horrendous. But now that we closed the chapter on the Thibodeau chapter,
let me give you one name. Yeah, let me give you one name here that's going to shock you. And I think the Knicks are swinging big. I said all that championship stuff just because I think the Knicks are. I think they might try to get Spoelstra out of Miami.
That's what one of my friends is hoping for.
I think they might try to get Spoelstra out of Miami. I think that is the lure. Like, hey, man, you've done all you can there. There's nothing left. Come play with a team with talent that can actually win something. You're the missing piece. We know that you take bad teams and make them above average and really good. We've seen you drag, teams with one superstar to the finals. That's the guy that they need to try to woo out of Miami. Like,
Jessica Brand says that he's not even on the board.
I mean, again, the Knicks need to try to woo Eric Spoelstra out of Miami.
It would probably be the solution. I just am curious if that would even be allowed to happen. I feel like Miami would do all they could to keep him there. And I don't know if the Knicks are willing to give him the world.
They would give him the keys to the kingdom.
I don't know if they would. Dolan's not that nice. You think Dolan's like, hey, we're the Knicks, we're desperate, we'll give you everything? No, he's like, we're the Knicks, come here if you want.
I get it, but I would think that it's one of those things where Dolan knows that if he gets a title, it makes his billion-dollar franchise even richer, and that's ultimately what the goal is here. But I think they have to do everything to investigate it.
Oh boy. Well, it's going to be madness here in New York while they look for their next head coach. And I'm sure no one's going to be happy about whatever decision the Knicks and Dolan decide to make. But let's get to your plays for tonight. We've got a lot of Major League Baseball in action. We've got a little NBA for look ahead for Thursday. Red Sox Angels over 9. Why?
This is one of these games where you have so much meat on the bone on this handicap. You don't even need it all to go right. You just need like one or two of them to go right. And that's ultimately what this boils down to here when you look at this. You say Kikuchi on the mound, right? Kikuchi, his home road splits are god awful. He's terrible on the road. And his ERA is nearly 3 runs higher on the road than it is at home. This is not a guy that you want to back on the road in any size, way, shape, or form. 5 of the 7 home runs he's allowed have come on the road. This is a Red Sox team that scores more at home than they do on the road. No, by the way, the Red Sox over the last 2+ weeks have scored the most runs in all of Major League Baseball against left-handed pitching. You say Kikuchi, lefty. That's just half the part of it. What's the other part? Brian Bayo. Brian Bayo, if you look at all the analytics stats, April, like they're bad. His numbers should not be as good as they are. He is a guy waiting to negatively regress. So I think the Angels can get to him. And this Angels lineup has sort of come alive as of late. But Brian Bayo also gets the best run support in all of baseball at 8.62 runs per start.
Do we believe in run support?
I do. Listen, I have no scientific explanation, no analytical explanation why. Last year, Brian Bayo only got 4 runs of support per start. This year, he's getting 8. I don't know the answer why. What I do know is that number is actually the same for a reason. The guys who are getting it constantly get it. It's not like it ping pongs 8, 2, 5, 9, 1. It's consistent across the board. That's what the average is there for. So I always look at it. It's not something I don't lead with it. It's not like that's the first thing I'm hanging my hat on, but I'm always going to check what is the run support. Hey, look, I bet the Reds last night. Okay. And I said, the only bugaboo with this handicap is that, what's his name? Brady Singer only gets 2 runs of support per start. What did he get last night? 2 runs. Can't explain why, but that's why I lost 3-2.
I always go back to DeGrom on the Mets. He couldn't get more than like 1 run of support every game.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So
I understand it almost for the ace on the mound where you can't get run support because your team maybe feels like, oh, we've got this. Our ace is on the mound. There's some weird subconscious mentality. But when it's like you say Kikuchi and Brian Bayo on the mound, like it's just so weird.
It is. But again, and the reason why Bayo's just 2-1 on the year is because he's getting all those runs of support. He's getting rocked around, but he's not hanging around long enough for a decision.
I don't trust one arm on this Red Sox staff that's not named Garrett Crochet.
No, I wouldn't either.
Not one.
But I don't mind fading, Bayo and taking it over because they score for him and he gives up a lot. So it all works out well. And I got this at 9. I'm not sure if it went up to 9.5 officially. I got it at 9 earlier today, but
I see 9.5 on FanDuel and I see 9.5 on DraftKings, but I'm sure Jessica will find you the best number somewhere.
Yeah. Well, again, April, I can't tell you how much I despise what odds makers are doing this year in baseball. The 7.5s, the 9.5s drive me nuts. It's driving me absolutely nuts. I'm really ticked off that and I get the response to it because the variance in baseball is starting to get wider. But these numbers suck. I don't want to play 9.5s. It's awful. I did it twice and landed on 9 both games, and I was miserable. I don't want to do it. So 9 is
well, the public will like your over. Jessica Brand says that the best over is 9 -120 at Bet365. So if you like that over play, fading Kikuchi and Bayo, you could get that there. You've got an under for the first 5, Padres, Giants. This one is later on tonight with Ryan Berger for the Padres against Landon Rupp for the Giants. How come you're going under with 2 not top tier pitchers?
Okay. Well, because you have 2 god-awful, horrible lineups going right now. I understand there's variance here with the situation with the pitchers. Ryan Berger is a reliever. Hasn't pitched since May 6th. He's only thrown 4 innings all year long. Scoreless 4 innings, but he's only thrown 4 innings all year long. So San Diego looks like they're going with a bullpen game here. Doesn't really bother me. They've got the 5th best bullpen ERA and the 5th best bullpen whip in all of baseball. But they're also facing a Giants lineup that flat out April, they can't score. They've scored the fewest runs in baseball since May 19th. 26 total runs. In fact, are you ready for this? And this should make you nuts. They've scored 4 or fewer runs in 15 consecutive games. This is Pittsburgh Pirates-like ineptitude here at this point in time, offensively. And so I'm going to continue. I played the first 5 last night and didn't really have to sweat it all that much. I'm coming back to the well here again because I'm just waiting for one of these teams to break out. And I don't necessarily know that you're going to get it here. Landon Raup has been very good. Despite the 1-2 record in May, he's allowed just 5 earned runs over 5 starts. That's a 1.73 ERA. However, again, back to run support April, Giants have scored 4 fewer runs in 4 of his 5 starts in the month of May. The Padres have scored just 44 runs over that same span the last 2 weeks since May 19th, hitting a Major League Baseball low 200 batting average. It's the worst mark in Major League Baseball. Raup hasn't given up a home run at home yet this year. San Francisco has the second lowest scoring ballpark in all of baseball. I'm willing to fade against the pitching variance here that these two lineups just don't have it right now and take the first 5 under. Look, you got a game total, by the way, of 7.5, and the first 5 was at 4.5. I got a little value there in first 5.
That's interesting because 7.5s historically tend to go under, according to a lot of the statisticians of MLB gambling. So yeah, 4.5 seems pretty high for a first 5 on a 7.5 total. That's bizarre. So, I guess that's also the variance of those numbers with the pitchers and us not really knowing who these pitchers are. So it's probably a good spot to get a buy low situation for sure. So Zinno says to me, he's like, Ariel, Braves, money line. I know that your audience is going to hate me because all I do, Ariel, is give out Braves on your show.
All I do is actually pick Spencer Strider on the show. For whatever reason, you keep coming on here when Spencer Strider pitches. Me betting on Spencer Strider is like having
no better. But hey, they've got to face Zach Gallen and the Diamondbacks. They're in Atlanta, but it's probably the best pitching matchup of the night with Strider and Gallen going head to head.
Well, you'd think that on the surface. Again, me betting Spencer Strider and the Braves on this show is similar to me having an argument with my ex-wife. I get absolutely nowhere with it. So that said, Zach Gallen, though, is not the Zach Gallen we know. His ERA is higher than a college kid. I mean, it's insane how bad he's been this year.
And it's not going to be great if Corbin Burns is out for the year.
No. And so the Braves lineup, which also, and I say this repeatedly, I have this argument with Brian Power. They're wholly untrustworthy. This is a lineup that is wholly untrustworthy. It's not even feast or famine. It's just like, it's like Oliver Twist. It's when they actually start to get it, please, sir, can I have some more? And they get more. That's it. Other than that, they have no food. They can't hit. They can't do anything. It's really tough to watch. But I have to believe the fact that the Braves, when they come back home now, or back home now after the weekend series, and you get this Arizona team that had to travel, hopefully they can get to Zach Gallen early. Of course, there are issues with the Braves bullpen. This is a risky start here. I know Strider's probably not going past 5 because they're still slowly bringing him along, but I'm a glutton for punishment at this point in time. Eventually, Spencer Strider has to get a win because he's Spencer Strider. Can't be 0-3. Can't have it.
Can't happen. That's a great handicap. I always make fun of people that say that kind of stuff. But you know what? You're telling me that you believe in the Braves, and I'm going to tell you why you can, because the Braves were just 25-27 entering June 2nd of 2021. That was the year that they ended up winning the World Series. They were also 24-27, the Braves, entering June 2nd in 2022 before finishing with 101 wins and a division title. So Atlanta's an MLB best 69-39 in the month of June, dating back to 2021. This is their month, Zinno.
In theory, yes. And if again, here's the thing about Strider too, and this
is, would you take a future on the Braves right now?
No, their lineup that bothers me. I mean, the bullpen and the lineup bother me. I think they have the starting stuff. And remember, they just lost AJ Smith-Shawver for the year. They lost one of their starters to Tommy John surgery. So,
I mean, you get the Braves at 10-1 to win the division.
That wouldn't be bad.
10-1. These were the preseason favorites.
Why do I keep calling you April? What the hell is wrong with me? I'm not even paying attention, Ariel.
I don't know. And you've done this before. I guess I remind you of April.
No, I don't know. I'm not as smart as I look. It's the month after March. That's about it. I don't even know in April.
I thought you
No
might have
clue.
had an ex relationship with
Nope.
an April and
Not
that
even
she was
close.
blonde.
Not even close.
Sounds like she could have been like with a stripper named April or something.
No. No. That was not. That was not part of my past. I deserve all the clapback from everybody watching. I apologize, Ariel. I just not even paying
Shawn
attention.
Michaels says he's reporting you to Kelly.
There you go.
He's
Thank
just
you.
calling me not by my name because I didn't go to Florida with him, Pam,
That's
and Kelly
right.
last week.
That's right. You missed out. We had fun. I
How
tell
was
you
the
what.
golf game, by the way? I heard you drive like a maniac.
The ball, or the cart, or both.
The cart.
Yeah, I'm not the best guy. I'm kind of erratic. I just want to get where I'm going. It's much like me on the road. Just get out of my way. I just need to go right to where I'm going because the cart is down.
Pam?
I think her and Brett were playing skins, so I think she ended up winning. But yeah, I mean, listen, Kelly can hit a golf ball. She's not bad.
No,
obviously, we know
can.
Pam is.
I've played
really
with her. She can't putt.
Who, Kelly?
Yeah.
Well,
She
I
just
mean,
drunk drives.
yes. Well, there's that too.
And I've driven on the golf cart with her before too. I wanted to throw myself off. That would have been more safe.
Yeah, well, there is that. But we had fun. We had a lot of fun. It was good. We went out to dinner a couple times, and it was a good time. You were missed. We talked about you. We thought of you. We wished you were there, but you were missed.
Oh, I'm sure you talked all great things. That's all I ever get.
We have nothing. Why, Ariel? I have nothing bad
you
to
were
say.
out to dinner with Brett. Brett hates me.
Why does he hate you? Oh my God! I need the tea.
Oh, I'm joking. I'm like the sister.
I thought the same thing. By the way, I thought the same thing. I'm like, I don't think Brett likes me that much.
No, Brett. I'm the sister that Brett never asked for, aka Kelly's best friend. Who, when I come to town, it's like all craziness. Brett says, "Go, bye, leave the house," and then he doesn't come home.
Nope. Don't blame it.
Okay, let's get to the NBA because people don't care about my life that much. I guess some people do. But I haven't really left my house in a few days because of this puppy. I'm a new mother.
Best worst decision ever. Remember that.
Best worst decision ever. No, best decision ever. I can't let her hear. She's right there.
Oh, sorry.
Best decision ever, Marley. Okay, NBA. It's game 1 on Thursday. You like OKC first half laying 5. Why?
Well, look, the Thunder are the highest scoring team in the first half in the NBA, right? And that's been pretty consistent all year long. And when you look at this season, and what they do, they're just so good defensively that I don't know that the Pacers, for all their offensive prowess, are going to have a whole lot of answers. Indiana only averages 55 in the first half on the road this year. Oklahoma City's played 9 home games this postseason. They weren't leading and covering this number just 2 times. First time was game 5 of the series against Denver. They were down by 2, but they held them to 56 points. And the second game was game 1 against Minnesota. That was after the huge game 7, and they were in this emotional letdown spot 48 hours later, and they were down by 4, and they held Minnesota to 48 points. I bring up those 2 things to illustrate that, I don't think Indiana's getting much past 50 here in the first half. I think the Thunder defense and the crowd are going to be way too much to handle at the outset. If Oklahoma City isn't making shots at their normal rate, or for whatever reason, if you look at both those other 2 games, Ariel, was that the pace had slowed so much, they just didn't take as many threes. They took 14 in the first half of the game against Denver and just 8 in the game against Minnesota. This is a team that averages nearly 40 threes a game. So for them to be that far below their average in the first half is a big part of the reason why they didn't get where they needed to go. As long as they play to their averages here, they're going to get to 60, and I don't envision Indiana getting past their first half team total of 54, and I think we cover this number.
Do you believe that the Thunder are worthy of actually being minus 750 to win the NBA Finals?
Yeah, this number is right. Like the last 10 times, Ariel, that a NBA Finals Game 1 favorite was favored by 6 or more, they won all 10 straight and covered 9 of the last 10. This is the right number. Here's the thing, and this is like I say this all the time when I talk about certain games, certain teams. If they're not covering early, they're not covering late. I hold to that theory a lot in football and in basketball. If they're not covering early, they're probably not covering late. That's not the case for Oklahoma City. This could be a 4-point game, 2-point game at half, and watch them boat race you in the second half. We saw it multiple times. They were down to Memphis by like 12 at halftime and won and covered the game. They were favored by 10.
The problem is when you look at how bad the Pacers have been this playoffs, just alone against point guards, the biggest problem on the Thunder is their point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Yet Donovan Mitchell was averaging 34 points a game in the playoffs against Indiana. Jalen Brunson was averaging 30 points a game in the playoffs against Indiana. Can you imagine what the hell SGA is going to be doing?
Well, it's interesting you brought that up because I had the same conversation. The Pacers could not contain Karl Anthony Towns. And I was curious how Chet Holmgren, who didn't play in either of the first two regular seasons, I really wanted to get into his points prop at 16.5. And what I noticed during the playoffs, at least, it's all about shot volume. I think I forget how many games they played, but it was something like with the exception of one, every single game that he got to double-digit shot attempts, he went over this number. There were just some games where he wasn't factoring in the offense and didn't take the attempts.
I went on a show today, and they asked me for a value play for the MVP of the NBA Finals. Of course, I'm not crazy enough to bet on a Pacer. I'm also probably not crazy enough to bet this because it's probably SGA's award. Right. However,
to lose.
Chet Holmgren is 80-1 to win the NBA Finals MVP. He is the second best, most consistent player in my eyes on the Thunder. And if you're going to look for someone else in OKC that's not SGA, the better matchup is Chet. I think that it is a sleeper play at 80-1. You're getting great value. Again, I hate these markets solely because I tried to find value in a Super Bowl with Tom Brady in it, and I tried to fade Tom Brady in that market, and it lost at 100-1 for Devin White, a linebacker. This is probably the same play. But Chet Holmgren, as you mentioned with Kat, could have a really good setup, especially because you have Isaiah Hartenstein, who is going to be grabbing the boards and playing more defensively. Chet can still grab a lot of boards in a fast-paced game with a lot of missed shots and also stay out on the wing and get shots up.
And he can make threes, too, just like Karl Anthony Towns did, in theory. Not actually during the series, except for Game 4. Beyond that, but you get the point. Here's one other thing I would tell you about this series. If you have any inkling of betting Indiana, you just wait for Game 3 and Game 4 and bet a money line at home. Because think about it this way. In theory, if you were to take $100, right, on the Thunder, and they don't cover the first two games, and they actually win a game at home, because they're not going to win a game in OKC. Like, you have to have like three things happen. You need OKC to shoot less than 45%. They have to shoot around less than 33% from three, and you have to have your best shooting night. Go look at the 7 home losses that they had this year and the breakdown of how it went, because I did all this. You need to have your very best night, and you need to have them to have two things to have their worst night for you to beat them at home. So it's not happening. But if they can pull off one of the two games at plus 300, plus 350, it's a better investment than taking them any other way, right? Like, you're just going to make everything on that one play. I wouldn't even take them with the points. I'd just take a money line and see if they can win the thing and be done with it. Like, that's
I get it.
You're going to get way more payout that way. That's the only way I would bet Indiana.
530 right now on the road. Oh, sorry, that's a series bet. So for them, plus 330 on the road currently, getting 9.5. You would assume this drops to probably 7.5.
6 or 7. So it'd be about, you get plus 200.
Yeah. I mean probably a little bit. Yeah.
Maybe a little more, but somewhere in that range. So $1.90 to $2.10. So I there's no other reason. I think it is that lopsided. The only other best bet I think you can make is just lay the 2.5 games at OKC at minus 130. Because you're not going to get.
Someone else was saying in the chat. Mark was saying that about minus 2.5.
I mean, it's the lowest price you're going to pay. Everything else is so exorbitant price wise, unless you're just going to lay the number. And I'm not in a world where I often like to lay 9. I mean, I think the number's right, and I think OKC covers it. It's not where I want to put my money.
Yeah, I hate laying anything like that unless it's a college football game.
No, anything outside 2 possessions in the basketball game, I hate laying. It's very, very bad. So I'm not going to lay the 9, but I think that's how this series breaks down. I really don't think Indiana stands a chance. I mean, it would take something miraculous to happen and completely out of the ordinary for them to steal a game in Oklahoma City. And if they can't do that, guess what? They can't win the series.
It's so crazy because all year I was saying, I don't know if I believe OKC. But again, there were a lot of injuries in the West. Golden State lost Steph Curry. The Lakers just never looked like what everyone thought they would. Shocker, because they had no big. They really needed a big. So OKC has earned it for sure. Number one team all year. They've been great. It's just crazy how easy it felt for OKC to get to this point. But I've got to go break some other stuff down. Mark Zinno, thank
Ariel,
you so much for coming on. Let everyone know what shows you're doing over at Wager Talk. And you have ESPN Radio, right?
Yep, ESPN Radio. You guys will hear me there on nights and weekends. Of course, Morning Wager every single day, Monday through Friday over at Wager Talk. Of course, check me out on Sports Grid there as well. In-game live, primetime, overtime, everything else. So all over the place. Thank you, Ariel.
Mark
Enjoy the
Zinno's
puppy
everywhere, and he's going to remember to call me Ariel for the next 3 years, because I think he did this 2 years ago when he called me April all the time. I don't know what April is, but it's okay. We're going to forgive you. Zinno, good luck tonight. Man. Okay, let's continue with the NBA for a little bit, just because, oops, sorry, didn't mean to click that. My water's in the way. I've got this. Today is propaganda. These are your top 5 most bet on props over at BetMGM for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Tyrese Halliburton under 9.5 assists. I think you have to be on drugs to bet that, to be honest. I don't think I could fade Hallie assists. I could fade Hallie under points and assists, because you're probably getting an inflated number on Hallie's points, and Hallie on the road is not as good as he is at home. I don't mind the fade on points plus assists, but I am not fading his assists. That is just like fading SGA. Stupid. SGA under 7.5 assists. He's going off offensively. The Pacers, I'm trying to think. They did limit Jalen Brunson. His 6.5 assist prop was pretty high all series, and I kept thinking the book was leaving it high because they were expecting Brunson to go over the number. He never did. Brunson always had like 5 assists in these games. I kept betting the I kept betting the over 6.5 because it didn't make sense that the book kept giving us a 6.5. And they were giving us plus money to the over. And I'm thinking or the under, whatever. I forget where the big was, but they limited them, the Pacers. So I could see SGA just going off offensively, and I understand why the public's on that. I just don't lay 155 on props. Siakam to score first field goal. Good for you. Don't care about first field goal. Stupid bet. Benedict Mathurin under 2.5 rebounds. Again, not laying minus 160 on props. When I was talking to John Ewing of BetMGM, I said, how do we, some of these props sometimes are so obscure. What happens here? He said, sometimes a lot of people will be all over social media. They look at all of these influencers. Once someone with a big following gives out a play, then everyone starts following them. He said social media has had such an impact on all of these props. And that's why you're seeing some really obscure props out there that are some of the most bet on props. And just so you know, BetMGM is just the online MGM. It's not considering their retail shops. So none of the MGM, like Grands, hotels, etc. Just saying. But if I were to look at the NBA, just on a whim right now, and I'm going to have in the PropQueen.com newsletter tomorrow, the props that I would be playing or looking at for the NBA Finals Game 1. Initially, my thought just goes to, obviously, SGA at home, which you're going to be paying a premium, obviously. I mean, SGA at home, his points prop, maybe you get a decent number for Game 1. He's at 33.5. It's his highest yet. He's been at 32.5. There's no such thing as stupid bets when it catches and you make money. Just because you don't explore on markets available doesn't mean they're stupid bets. Yeah, but there are stupid bets when it comes to the odds not matching up with the actual percentage chance that these things happen. So that's what I mean by stupid bets. Talking about first bucket, there's so much variance that goes into that. So of course, if it hits and you get lucky, that's great. But there are stupid bets, like betting Aaron Judge at plus 160 to hit a home run. As much as it cashed, and that's great, you're talking about a plus 160 chance of something happening when it only happens a max of 60 times a year. So again, it's a stupid bet when the odds don't match up well with the actual percentage chance of something happening. Minus 160 is too much. And again, a stupid bet is also if you're going to continue to lay 160 to win 100 and that's your bankroll, it's not going to be profitable long term. Now, if you have like Yanni the Greek deems his bankroll, where he's betting all this money on a minus 350 fighter, then sure. But I'm just saying, there are certain things. And also, I just am not going to fade SGA. I'm not going to fade Tyrese Halliburton assists. I'll fade his points, but I'm not going to fade Halliburton assists. There are just certain bets that are like guaranteed. Like you're just like, no, I'm not fading this superstar because he's really good at this. Anyway, in the NBA Finals, I would be looking. I think SGA at home is going to be awesome. 33.5. You might honestly be getting a decent number in game one, but am I going to bet the over? It's just that the Pacers have been horrible, especially on the road against these point guards. So SGA over points, I can't knock you for over 33.5 points because you have Donovan Mitchell, who averaged 34 points a game in the series. Jalen Brunson was averaging over 30 points a game in the series. The Pacers just cannot guard guards. The other one, I was just talking about it with Mark, Chet Holmgren, points plus rebounds I would be looking at throughout the series. Chet against Denver had multiple double-doubles. The game's going to be moving at a fast pace. You've got two teams like Indiana and OKC who move at the fastest paces in the league. There's going to be a lot of shots. There's going to be a lot of rebounds. Chet Holmgren also going to be out on the wing while Hartenstein is standing there underneath and playing more of the defensive role. And you've got Chet who can put up a three and he can get shots up and he could rebound any of those long boards. So I would be looking at Chet and I'm looking at SGA. Tyrese Halliburton on the road, under points when he's at home. I have to go deep dive into OKC a little bit more defensively, but Halliburton assists, I will never be fading that market. And like I said before, SGA assists on the propaganda, that is something that I would be looking at when it comes to, like I said, Jalen Brunson didn't really do well dishing the ball out, and the Pacers seem to be pretty good at limiting him there. So I would say maybe under SGA assists, but over on points makes a lot of sense. Let's get to Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, we've got some batters to watch. So these are some overs because of the matchups of these baseball players tonight. They've got good matchups against the starting pitcher that they're facing. Starting with the Guardians, Carlos Santana, who's hitting .357 with 2 doubles and 2 home runs against Yankees starter Carlos Rodon. Santana has also hit in 11 straight games safely, hitting .447 with 3 homers and 10 runs scored. You could be looking at a bunch of overs there for Santana, like maybe that hits, runs, and RBIs overs again against Rodon. I'm worried about Rodon tonight. And again, I'm going to talk about his strikeout prop. I'm worried just because he faced this team on April 23rd and pitched really well. The numbers are indicating, according to the book, that Rodon shouldn't pitch as well tonight. But Carlos Santana's numbers recently, plus against Rodon, look very enticing. He's totally an overs play tonight if you want a batter's prop. And just Rodriguez says Ramirez is hitting .418 against left-handed pitching this year. So look at that. In Cincinnati, you could get TJ at .375, a double, triple home run against Peralta. Gunnar Henderson, not a big sample size, but hitting well against George Kirby with a double and a home run. Freddie Freeman hitting .375, but no extra base hits against Tylor Megill. Max Muncy, 4 for 5, small sample size, but a double and a homer out of those 5 hits or 4 hits against Megill. Austin Riley hitting .375 with a double, a triple, and a home run against Zach Gallen. Unders. Starling Marte. He is not doing well against Clayton Kershaw and 9 strikeouts. Nolan Arenado, not good numbers, 1 for 12 against Michael Lorenzen. Ian Happ hitting .214 with 10 strikeouts against Trevor Williams. Rafael Devers hitting .222 with 2 homers against Kikuchi. Marcell Ozuna hitting .222 with 2 doubles and 5 Ks against Gallen. And Matt Olson, 3 for 16 with a double and home run, 5 Ks against Zach Gallen. I also include all this stuff on the newsletter, so you guys could definitely check it out. But I have this news section that I do called Who's Hot and Who's Not. These are pretty lengthy. I talk about every player that's hot right now in Major League Baseball and every player that's not. What's not hot right now is that my dog, Marley, is barking and crying in the crate. She was doing so well for a half hour, and now she is miserable. My poor baby. So anyway, she has to wait till 6 o'clock and then she gets to go for her walk. I'm just adding some other plays for today. Okay. Who's hot? Jeremy Pena is on an 8-game hit streak, hitting .419 with 3 home runs in that span. Miami's Liam Hicks hitting .345 with 4 homers and 15 ribbies in his last 21 games. And again, Miami is facing the Rockies tonight, so just be prepared for that. Time for Ariel to move out of the city. Why? I mean, like I would, but I don't know why I should move out of the city. My dog will be fine. She'll be good. She's getting adjusted. Pete Crow Armstrong. So with a stolen base today, Pete Crow Armstrong of the Cubs can become the 4th fastest in the modern era to hit 15-plus homers and have 20-plus stolen bases in a season. He is the only player on pace for a 40-40 season. So Pete Crow Armstrong, a stolen base tonight could be something you could look at. James Woods hitting .346 with 9 extra base hits and 19 RBI in 14 games for Washington. The Nats tonight are home against the Cubs. Robert Hassel III hitting .375 with 5 ribbies in his last 5 games. Josh Bell also heating up, 9 for 21 with 3 home runs, 7 ribbies in his last 5. Seiya Suzuki's been on fire. Like the Cubs, Seiya Suzuki has been so good. 16-game on base streak, hitting .350 with 15 extra base hits and 18 ribbies. So definitely take a look at his overs tonight. Aaron Judge, he is so good against the Guardians. Like you just know there are just certain teams that players own. Aaron Judge, .352, 7 home runs, 17 ribbies in 14 games against the Guardians since the start of last year, including the playoffs. Some other players that are hot. Jonathan Clase hitting .435 during his 8-game on base streak. Toronto's Addison Barger is on absolute fire right now. Homered in 3 straight games. He's hitting .322 with 9 extra base hits in his last 17 games. This is what blew my mind today. This stat absolutely blew my mind because I'm sure Addison Barger is not like a household name. His average exit velocity trails O'Neal Cruz, Shohei Ohtani, and Aaron Judge. Can you imagine being in this category with those 3? So just to keep a lookout for him. People are asking for home run props and whatnot. Toronto, you could take a look at Addison Barger tonight. And the Toronto Blue Jays are taking on, why do I not have the schedule memorized today? The Toronto Blue Jays are taking on the Philadelphia Phillies in Toronto tonight. Mike Trout, welcome back. After his stint on the IL in 4 games, Trout's .814 with 5 ribbies, hit the home run against the Boston Red Sox. Joe Adell batting .409 with 6 ribbies in his last 7 games. They're facing the Red Sox tonight. So the Red Sox against the Angels. Rob Refsnyder, hitting .294 against lefties this year. He's got a .500 on base percentage and 12 career plate appearances against Yusei Kikuchi, the lefty. Rafaela for Boston hitting .417 with 2 home runs in his 6-game on base streak. Christian Yelich also got a little banged up, but he's been playing. He's had 6 home runs, 14 ribbies, 10-game on base streak. His slugging percentage up 110 points in that span. Some more who's hot. I told you this is like a long list. So if you guys need batters props tonight and you want to throw some crap in your SGP, go for it. Jackson Chourio hitting .474 with 6 ribbies in his last 4 games on a 4-game road trip. So Chourio's hitting well on the road. Ketel Marte, 13 runs scored in his 15-game on base streak. Again, look at these runs scored markets because you usually get plus money for it. Lourdes Gurriel hitting .406 with 4 ribbies in his 8-game on base streak. Caminero for Tampa, Junior Caminero, hitting .400 with 12 extra base hits, 17 ribbies in his last 10 games. At Steinbrenner Field, he's hitting .304 with 9 home runs and 20 RBI. Brandon Lowe hitting .343 with 6 home runs, 17 runs scored in his last 18 games. That's crazy. Kerry Carpenter hitting .333 with 8 home runs, 14 ribbies in 12 games against the White Sox the last 2 seasons. That includes 2 multi-home run games. So if you're looking for someone to bet home run props on, Kerry Carpenter can also be your guy. He loves hitting against the White Sox. Colt Keith, I've been mentioning him on the PropQueen.com newsletter all this time. 9-game hit streak, hitting .333 with 5 extra base hits, 4 ribbies, 5 runs scored. He has a .441 on base percentage with 6 extra base hits, 12 ribbies, in 17 career games against the White Sox. So definitely be looking for Colt Keith against the White Sox this series. Vinny Pasquantino of the Royals hitting .343, .413 on base percentage in his 18-game on base streak. Cal Raleigh, been talking about him all season. He's up there for 23 home runs, tied with Ohtani for most in MLB, hitting .310 with 11 home runs and 20 ribbies in his last 19 games. The Seattle Mariners are hosting the struggling Baltimore Orioles with Sugano on the mound tonight. Ryan O'Hearn hitting .452 with 3 doubles, 2 home runs, 8 ribbies in his last 11 games. His .329 average, 4th among AL qualifiers. And Jackson Holliday also hitting well lately, .304, 10 extra base hits, 13 ribbies in 15 games. On the mound tonight for the Mariners, who the Orioles are facing, is George Kirby. Ramos in his 23 games for San Francisco since May 6th, hitting .382, 10 extra base hits, 17 ribbies. Only Jose Ramirez and Freddie Freeman have higher averages across MLB in that span. So if you're sleeping on Ramos, he's a name also that you'll probably get a good buy low value on. The Minnesota Twins are facing the A's in Sacramento, and as you know, the ball flies out of Sacramento. So Byron Buxton could take advantage of that, hitting .353 with 8 ribbies in his first 3 games off the IL for a concussion. He's batting .323 with 4 home runs and 18 ribbies in 16 games since the start of May. And again, they are in Sacramento tonight against the A's. Brett Baty is a name that you guys could keep a lookout for because with Vientos out, Baty's been playing well, and he has 5 home runs and 16 ribbies in his last 21 games. Juan Soto is heating up, extra base hit in 4 straight. He's hitting .385 with 2 doubles, 2 homers, and 3 walks, 4 runs scored. Lindor has been great too in the 4-game win streak, 8 of 16, 4 home runs, 7 runs scored. He's if Lindor's not doing well, the Mets probably lose because in the wins, Lindor is batting .359 with 14 home runs and 30 ribbies and 36 runs scored. And I'm going to tell you in Fishy Lines why this could be a good night for Lindor, because it could be a good night for the Mets. The Mets are playing the Dodgers, and Shohei Ohtani is an absolute monster. He's had 6 home runs in his last 8 games. He has 41 home runs and 103 runs scored in 111 regular season games at Chavez Ravine since joining the Dodgers. Like, what? Ohtani, 103 runs scored in 111 regular season games. That means that Ohtani in the regular season is driving in run or scoring runs almost every day. It's crazy. It's nuts. Okay. I've been making money off Soto over 1.5 total bases plus 135 from Rico. So you could be looking at the hot Juan Soto before the books catch on. You know, you're getting, when you get these numbers for players that aren't doing as great, and then you start getting them before the books catch on fully, you never know. Who's not hot? I know we had a lot of who's hot. Who's not hot right now? So Kyle Stowers was one of the players that got off to a really hot start for Miami this year, and he just has completely flamed out. So talk about a sell high situation. He hasn't homered since May 15th. He's hitting .230 with just 3 home runs in his last 15 games. And we're talking about a player who had 10 home runs in his first 40 games of the season. Boston's Christian Campbell, he's just hitting .128 in his last 25 games. Corbin Carroll, unfortunately, also in a slump, hitting .128, 3 ribbies, 9 games, dating back to May 20th. Poor Marley. Corey Seager, also struggling since coming off the IL, hitting .125 with 6 Ks. Luis Robert Jr., they dropped him down to the 7th spot, hitting .173, ranking in the bottom 5 among MLB qualifiers. And Bobby Witt Jr., again, this is probably a huge reason why the Royals are struggling, because when you don't have one of the best hitters in baseball hitting well, it's a problem. He's hitting .208, 1 home run, 5 runs scored in his last 21 games. You probably could get some decent value on unders for Bobby Witt. Willy Adames, ever since he came to New York to face the Yankees, been struggling, hitting .120 with 16 Ks in 15 games. Yastrzemski also struggling for the Giants, .125 with 17 Ks in his last 17 games. Fernando Tatis Jr. struggling, hitting .147 with 2 RBI and 17 K in his last 17 games. Royce Lewis, this one's the saddest. He's hitless in his last 30 at-bats, the longest active streak in the majors. Royce Lewis is so seemingly defeated. I don't even know what the Twins are going to do with him. He was so hot last year when he wasn't hurt, and now he's finally not hurt, and he's just not able to hit the ball. So, I feel bad for him. Let's talk about some strikeout props before I get into Fishy Lines. Strikeout prop number 1. This number scares me, but I'm going to mention to you why I like it, and you guys could decide for yourselves if you believe what I believe. So Carlos Rodon dropped from 7.5 to 6.5. I do believe 6.5 is an absolute great number. So if you like to bet good numbers, then you could take over 6.5 for Rodon. He has gone over 6.5 strikeouts in 7 of 9 starts against high K rate teams against lefties. At home, he went over in 2 of 3. Rodon has thrown 14 consecutive scoreless innings. He's 6-0 with a 1.27 ERA in his last 8 starts, including his 2 LCS starts last October. Rodon's 10-4 with a 2.51 ERA and 22 career starts against the Guardians, including a no-hitter in 2021. The Guardians are striking out a lot against lefties. Lefty starters, 7 overs, 2 unders, averaging just over 6 strikeouts a start. Tarek Skubal had 13. Reagan's had 10. Rodon had 8 against this lineup. My concern, and this is up to you, my concern is that Carlos Rodon had 8 strikeouts the last time out. I do not like betting when a pitcher already in the last matchup did what I think he'll do. I normally just lay off it the second time around. And it does scare me a little bit that this number is dropping. But it is a good number. So if you want to bet over 6.5, it is a good number. Cristopher Sanchez, under 4.5 strikeouts in plus money. He's faced just one team with a low K rate. It was the Mets. He had 2 strikeouts. The Blue Jays just don't strike out a lot, especially against lefties. Southpaws 3-9 over under their K prop, averaging 3.8 strikeouts a game against Toronto. 8 of the last 10 starters to face the Blue Jays have gone under 4.5 strikeouts. So Cristopher Sanchez under is enticing. Late night, Tylor Megill up against the Dodgers under 5.5 Ks. It makes me nervous because Megill does have good numbers this year, and he's striking out batters. However, it's more of a fade on the Dodgers lineup because 8 of the last 10 of the right-handers to face the Dodgers went under 5.5 Ks. They just aren't striking out a lot, and it's a tough environment to play in. So Megill under Ks seems intriguing. The number just feels very high against the LA Dodgers. But again, we'll see. 2 minutes left, but I do have a couple of fishy lines to get to. So here's the fishy lines of the day. First up, we've got that Phillies and Blue Jays game. So the line has been moving all day against the Phillies. A lefty's on the mound for Philadelphia, Cristopher Sanchez, and the Jays have been a top 3 lineup this season against Southpaws. The Jays also have the bullpen advantage. They rank 8th in bullpen ERA, while the Phillies rank 25th. Phillies 11 blown saves trails the Dodgers and the Pirates in the National League. And if the Jays get to Sanchez, it could be a long night for Philly. Plus, the Phillies' defensive efficiency has dropped to 29th in Major League Baseball, and the Jays have scored at least 8 runs in 4 straight games with 39 runs, 56 hits, and 11 home runs. The next fishy line of the day, Mets-Dodgers. There was a little buyback on the Dodgers, but I'm looking at like maybe a Mets first 5 here or just not touching the Dodgers tonight. It's one of those situations where the public's like, oh, the Dodgers just lost again, and they lost to the Mets in extra innings, 4-3. The Dodgers won't lose 2 in a row at home to the Mets, blah, blah, blah. Well, the Mets have won 3 of 4 against LA over the last 11 days. They can clinch the season series and head-to-head tiebreaker with another win this week. So it actually is really meaningful for the Mets to beat the Dodgers. Over the last month, dating back to May 3rd, Dodgers are a 500 team. They're ranked 25th in MLB and team ERA in that span. Only the A's and the Orioles have allowed more home runs than LA in that stretch. The Mets are top 10 in OPS against lefties. Clayton Kershaw's pitching tonight. Kershaw can't go far into games. The Dodgers' bullpen has been bad. They ranked 17th in ERA this season. The Mets, they're 2nd in pen ERA. Now, the Mets did use a bunch of bullpen arms, so they need Megill to go pretty deep tonight. But I'm just saying, the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and they'll come back to life. But right now, I can see why the line's moving against them. Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so I do need to get to my best bets of the day so that I can let Marley out and go walk her because she's so sad. So here are my best bets. Royal Lux. My Royal Lux of the day. Cristopher Sanchez under 4.5 Ks, as I just discussed before. He is up against the Blue Jays, who just don't strike out a lot. Sanchez had 2 strikeouts against the Mets, the only other low K rate team that he faced this year. There have been 9 unders and just 3 overs for lefties against the Blue Jays this year, averaging 3.8 strikeouts a game. 8 of the last 10 lefty starters, 8 of the last 10 starters in general to face the Jays have gone under 4.5 Ks. Then for Tylor Megill, I just feel like this number at 5.5 is way too high against the Dodgers. 8 of the last 10 righties to go against LA went under 5.5 strikeouts. So I'm going to go and take the under there on Megill in a very tough situation in LA tonight. Good luck to all your bets. Thank you all for tuning in here on the Prop Queen Pod. If you missed anything, you could subscribe to the newsletter at thepropqueen.com. I have all of what I showed you on the show in the newsletter. You can also subscribe to the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports. Like, subscribe. All of the shows are cut up into clips, and they are all there for your taking. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Let me go save my dog. I will see you all tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time.